Hello, hello, hello. Greetings, everyone. It's Stephanie Outen here with Storytime with Stephanie, and I'm so excited to be here. Storytime with Stephanie is a segment of the Writer's Anointing podcast, and this is an opportunity, a platform for us to be able to talk to new aspiring authors, for them to share their works, for them to be able to talk about what it is that they have going on in their lives and in their professions as authors. And we're just excited to be able to have this opportunity to come to you. So if you are an anointed writer, an anointed author that wants an opportunity to be a part of the Storytime with Stephanie show, please email us at info@stephanieouten.com. And we would love to see what your works are to have you on our show. So tonight's guest is Asia Smith. And this is a wonderful, wonderful young lady, a millennial that I've had an opportunity to work with over the course of the year in another program, the Author Talk program. And she has written a powerful book, which we have with us. Come Up, Come Out, Step Up, Be the Example. And Asia Smith is absolutely an example. So we are so glad to have her here with us tonight. Asia, are you here?
I am here. Hello, hello.
Hello, welcome, welcome, Asia. Thank you for being here with us tonight.
Thank you.
All right, Asia. Well, you are the author of this phenomenal book, which I showed, Come Up, Come Out, Step Up, and Be the Example, which you
Yes.
just published. It just came out not too long ago. So you are a published author. We're so excited for you.
Thank
So
you.
tell the audience a little bit about yourself, who you are, what inspired you to write, and tell us a little bit about your platform, and then we'll go into talking about your book.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining this live. Of course, my name is Asia Smith. I am originally born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. That's where I was born and raised, grew up, did some moving around, and of course, just came from Georgia. So that's where I just came from. Now I'm in Arkansas currently. So, a little bit about me. I am a people person. I love to talk to people. I love to interact with people. I've always knew that I just had the gift to connect with people. And with that, I love to, of course, find out more information about people, connect with women, learn about life, learn about women. And of course, when it came down to that, that is exactly what led me to write this wonderful book. My audience is targeting, of course, towards women. And with me being young, I am very young. I'm still in my 20s. So, of course, as Stephanie already said, I am a millennial. I wrote the book, Come Up, Come Out, Step Up, Be the Example, strategically to target people who want to be the example. It doesn't matter whether you're, a millennial like me, whether you're older or, you fall in between those lines. It doesn't even matter. It's about being the example that you want to see, knowing where you are now and knowing, of course, where you want to go in life. And with that, of course, I came up with an acronym for example, because I know you all see the periods in the word example. So that means it's an acronym that follows behind it. And with that, the acronym is E is, of course, for empathetic, X is for Zenodokio, A is for accountable, M is for motivational, P for purposeful, L is for level-headed, and the last E is for excellent. And that is exactly what was given to me to, of course, present to y'all about being the example that you want to see.
Oh, awesome. And y'all, when I say that Asia is truly an example, she is a positive light. She is a motivator. She is an accountability partner with Talk Publishing, which is one of my sister friends publishing companies that I've had the opportunity to partner with. And that's how I met Asia. And she is just so beautiful. Her spirit is wonderful. And she is an example. So for millennials out there who desire to understand what it means to be the example, what it means to be able to walk out that change that you want to see in this earth, this is an awesome book for you to do that. And connecting with someone like Asia gives the opportunity for you to understand how you can be the example. Oh, you have some of your publisher sisters here. This is
Yes, Sheila.
powerful. Love it. Congratulations, Asia. Sheila. Yes, and Sheila's going to be a guest on our show soon as well. So, Asia,
Yes.
in your book, and everyone knows I don't like to give away the entire book, right? Because I want people to purchase the book. I want them to go out and support you. So we don't talk about everything in the book, but I go and I try to pinpoint some key topics that I think the readers would really enjoy hearing you expound upon, and just really understanding kind of how you got to that place of writing that chapter, how you were inspired to come up with these chapter titles. And so I want to go straight into what is chapter 1, be the example you want to see. And I have a couple of notes here. So in your introduction, actually, you say, I believe more so now than ever that this generation of millennials and also Generation Z, along with all the generations that will come after that, need examples before their eyes. And what a powerful way to start out, because that is so true. Our young people need an example. They need to see someone that, looks like them, but is doing more, aspires to be more, right? And is actually walking that out. And you said, but people fall because they don't have examples of true sound leadership. And so when you think about that, even in your own life and how that applied for you, what were some of the things that you saw? Who were some of the people that you were able to see, even in your own age range, that you felt like were examples of leadership that you could follow?
Yes. So when it came down to good sound leadership, I literally viewpoint how I was raised, brought up, and the people that, of course, contributed to, of course, Asia being the woman that she is today. I come from a family of background of great women, great men. And what I mean by sound leadership, true sound leadership, is specifically speaking for people who's true to their character, people who care about, leading women or men down the right path, and people who, because I believe that true sound leadership comes from people who have their character together, people who know who they are, because you cannot lead, you cannot direct, nor can you follow after someone who does not know who they are or whom they are or where they want to go in life. So even when it just came down to that, I have to say, my parents, my mom, my dad, my grandma, my granddad, true sound leadership. What I mean by that is, they always pretty much, have always had, direction and gave out direction. And for me, that always put me in a heart posture to follow, because I seen who they was. And what I mean by that is, when we come home every day and when we decompress, I want to know that you are the same person when you go out and when you in front of millions and millions of people. Because when you are home by yourself, when you're fixing your food or talking to people on the phone or whatever it is, are you that same person that if I was to put you on the pedestal of 1,000 people or 100 people, will you still be that same person? Who you are is definitely important to me, because I cannot lead someone or I cannot follow after someone who's not leading or who's not true to who they are and who they're serving. So seeing that helped for me to know, okay, I want to be like that, because that same person that I catch at 6 or 7, at 8, or at 10 o'clock at night is that same person that wake up and walk out and do the same thing, no matter who they're talking to. It's the same person that you get behind closed doors, and of course, when those doors are open. And that's what I care about.
Yes, Asia. Yes. And that is exactly who Asia is. It doesn't matter if you catch her 6 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night. She's the same person. And that speaks to the character of who she is. And Paris says, yay, my little sister Asia Smith. Her character speaks for itself. The level of integrity that this young woman has. I wish that more millennials could have examples like you, Asia, to be able to follow, because you clearly have, grown up in an environment that taught you, those values to build your character. I know that you are a believer in Christ, and you center your life on that. And so you have really been able to demonstrate and walk out what it means to be a true example. And one of the things you say in the book is, and now let me go back a page.
It's okay.
It says everything has a purpose. And if
Yes.
we live life knowing our purpose, we will truly begin to live. And we had Daphne Johnson on a couple of weeks ago, and she talked about purpose and saying yes. And so even for you, you were able to determine your purpose, you know, at a young age. So tell us a little bit about that and how you see God leading you in the purpose that he called for your life.
So when it comes down to purpose, I've met and I came around people who don't know their purpose and people who have, of course, discovered what their purpose is. And it does not have to be just one thing, right? It can be several things. And when it just comes down to purpose, I always knew that before my purpose even was generated, I had to know who I was with Christ.
Yeah.
And that was my very foundation. So when it came down to my purpose and discovering my purpose and knowing what that is, I always make sure my foundation is Christ. And when it comes down to my purpose, I literally put everything out there, purpose and passion and purpose. And, you know, and even, you know, that also leads to prosperity, right? So even when it just comes down to those things of purpose and, you know, following after that and going after that and knowing what your purpose is, I always, of course, allow that up with Christ, and you know, whatever he wants me to do, I'm out there to do it. I'm here to do it.
Yeah, you raise your hand, you say, I'm here, yes, I'm gonna do it.
Surrender.
And you say, so that's something you talk about in your book too, surrendering. And you say, come out and step up is about rising to the cause. No one can do it but you. No one can do it but you. And when you have that heart posture, when you have that mindset that no one can do this thing but me, no one can live this out but me, walk this out but me, it literally changes your attitude, right? It gives you that authority to
Most
be able
definitely.
to walk out what it is that you're supposed to be doing. So where was that point in your life that you felt like you were able to rise up in your authority, recognize the calling in your life, and literally start to run into it?
It was actually before writing this book. And the reason why I say that is because sometimes we don't know the power that lies within us. It can be easy of someone saying, oh, you're this, oh, you're that, oh, I see this in you. But until you know what that is, then do you really understand the power that lies within yourself when it comes down to that? So before writing this book, to be very honest, I was literally at a stumbling block. And what I mean by that is, you know, my computer was literally taken out of my car. It was stolen out of my vehicle. I had to start from scratch. And I was literally in the place of, you know what, I'm just going to just sit this and let this just sit out. You know, I'm not going to, you know, allow this to go forward. I need some time to heal myself or to some time to just get some thoughts together. So with me realizing that I just can't sit on this thing and I need to act fast and know what's within myself to put out to the people, align me up to know how important it is to get this thing out, to push it out, to know and when it comes down to be the example that you want to see, that's an everyday thing, right? Because it's like, it's not one of those things to where you could just realize, oh, today, you know, I just want to do this, oh, I want to do that, which is why I came up with the acronym. But it's like, you have to know what lies within yourself. And it's something that only you can bring out of. It only you can come out of, only you can walk it out. It's a personal journey, right? Because, you know, when it just comes down to your personal journey, your purpose is you. It's who you are. And PURPOSC, you clearly see the words you are. So you are your purpose. You walk out your purpose. It is a personal thing. And you have to understand the power that relies within yourself and truly walk in it daily, no matter what happens.
Oh, I love that. You are. Yes, you are. You are in that purpose. It's for you to walk out. And I love that. So you say in chapter 1, when I think about being an example, I think about character. And that's something that we talked about at the very beginning, that character has everything to do with who you are and whose you are, right? And so you talk about being able to make mistakes, but getting back up from them, right? Being an example of what you want to see in it can be several things. So when you think about being the example, what are some of those things that being the example means to you so that others can understand? Because sometimes people think it's, oh, in the way I look, oh, it's in the way I speak, but it goes beyond that, right? It's the change you want to see sometimes in the world. But what does it mean for you to be the example?
What it means for me to be the example is one of the things that I think about is who are you and who do you want to be? Right? Because we all see people on TV, you know, of course, we all see women empowerment. We all see those women that's out there that's doing it, right? So
Yes.
our sometimes examples of leadership, or, you know, let's just speak for women here, our example of women leadership, sometimes it just comes from people that we see out there, right? That's doing it, that's on TV, that's being broadcast. But being the example that you want to see truly is about you being the person that you want to see on that TV, that person that you want to see when you go into the bookstore and you're buying their book and you're seeing that book on that platform, the person that, you know, when you're down, that being the example that you want to see, oh, I have to get back up again. I have to give life a try again. I have to be the best, do the best, expect the best, and live the best life. So being the example is about, you know, truly you, who you are and who you want to be. And to be very honest with you, it doesn't always have to come from people that's on platforms.
That's right.
Because listen, we need people in our families. We need more leadership of cousins, of aunties, of uncles, of, you know what I'm saying? So it always it's a posture of who you are, who you want to be, and always staying in that exampleship posture.
Yes.
Even though that's
Oh,
not a word, I just kind of created that. But
we make
example
up words. It's okay.
posture. So
I love it. I love it. And I saw Henry Watson respond. He said, that's your grandfather. And he's
yes.
telling you to push it out. And that you see, that's someone who I'm sure that in your life, he's demonstrated that example for you, right?
Oh, most
Of
definitely.
pushing it out, of being able to go after your dreams, pursuing them. And you
Mhm.
said in the very beginning that example is an acronym. And as you all can see, be the example is an acronym. So I want to talk about those because you shared them, but let's kind of take them one by one so people really understand what that meant to you as you were thinking about people being the example, coming up and coming out and stepping up to be that example. The first word was empathetic. You cannot be the example you want to see if you are not empathetic towards people.
Come
So talk
on.
about that. Yeah, talk about that, Asia, because Asia is probably one of the most empathetic people I've ever met. She truly has a heart for people, truly has a heart. So talk about that, being empathetic, so that those who are millennials, those Generation Z, and just anyone in general, especially those who are watching with us today and those who watch on the replay, what does that mean to be empathetic? And how does that show up in being an example?
Oh, most definitely. So with being of course, being empathetic and being the example, I know for me, with having a heart for people, it's hard to have a heart for people and you're not empathetic with what people are going through, right? So it's like with me, it's automatically a given. But to someone who don't know how to, of course, be empathetic, it's something that you either have to learn, that you have to be around, that you have to experience, and that you have to know what that meaning. Because say, for instance, you were to come to me and you need someone to talk to, right?
Yeah.
I need to be empathetic in order to listen, in order to know where you're coming from. And not only that, but you're calling me for a reason, right? Or even when it comes down to people in the grocery stores, or, you know, because we come across a lot of people with everything. And, you know, when we're going to the stores or when we're doing whatever we're doing, if we are not empathetic towards them, or we're just going on with our daily lives, not, you know, being that image of empathetic, then who are we to say that we have a heart for people? Who are we to even, you know, be who we are? Because we always need that person that listens. We always need that person who cares. Everyone needs that. So when it comes down to being the example that you want to see, being empathetic is something that was just a given to me, because I'm like, you cannot be that without being empathetic. Everyone that I've come across that I've seen being the example have been that.
Yeah. They care. They care about other people. Absolutely. You said, what's the next word? I said Asia, this big old word, but xenodocial. Be
Xenodokio.
Xenodocial. Okay,
Mhm,
y'all have to see it in the book. Xenodocial. You
mhm,
have to be friendly, and
mhm,
being friendly is the result of a force within yourself to make others feel welcomed. Welcomed.
mhm.
So to be an example, you have to demonstrate a welcoming spirit, to
Yes.
be that friendly face that people see, that kind spirit that people
Mhm,
experience when they come into your
mhm,
presence. So
mhm.
go ahead and talk a little bit more about how, when, first of all, how did you come up with the word?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes. So that was a word that took a while.
Yes.
Honestly, that was the word that took a while because I'm like, I have to come up with something more personal. And all of these letters and the word example was personal to me. So I had to make that personal. So it took a while because I'm like, I don't know a word out there that I can think of for X. And so I'm like, okay, Holy Spirit, you want me to write this book. So I need for you to lead me towards the word that properly fit in to the example. And when coming across that word, it's a word that I couldn't really find. But I only found one definition, a few definitions, and it's not even really in a lot of dictionaries. A lot of people say it's a word, some people don't. But if you just give me that one definition, I can stand on that one. And that
Yes.
one is what I stood on. So when it comes down to that, being friendly, being welcoming, and being the example that you want to see, that's something that I make sure come easy from me,
Yes.
because I will want that to be easy when it comes down to someone saying, Asia, how can I be the example? Or what does that take? Or what does that even mean?
Mhm.
So I want to take the steps to be the example. I want to take the steps to come up, come out, step up in my life. But how can I do that?
Mhm.
And with those steps of the E, the X, the A, the M, the P, the L, the E, all of that plays a part. So Xenodokio is a friendly word. It's,
Yeah.
it's 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 you feeling welcoming. And when I think of that, I think about home. I don't know about you, but when I
Yeah.
think of friendly, when I think of welcoming, when I think of just that word, it just makes me feel at peace, at home, comfortable, welcoming. And it's also, I also think of freedom, right?
Mm.
So yes,
And
Xenodokio.
I see some comments coming through. So definitely share your comments, ask questions. Erica said that's good. That's good about being friendly. And that's true. And one of the things I want people to understand from this is the example, right? And the acronym that you use and the words that Holy Spirit gave you
Mhm.
to for you that were personal. For others, it doesn't have to be that word example, right?
Mhm.
But it has to be something that is heartfelt, something that touches your
Definitely.
spirit, that says, this is who I am. This
Mhm.
is who I want to be. This is who I
Mhm.
profess to be, but this is
Mhm.
who I am behind closed doors and then, out in public. And so
Mhm.
as people are thinking about how they can be the example, also think about, well, what is it, Holy Spirit? What is it, God? What do you want me to
Mhm.
embody? What do you want me to
Yes.
represent? Right. So for
Mhm.
Asia, it was these words. It was example, and the next word was accountable. And
Yes.
y'all, Asia is an accountability partner with Talk Publishing. She is an accountability partner because she is that type of person that can help keep someone accountable, keep them grounded,
Mhm.
keep them focused on the
Mhm.
work that they've been called to do. And so as you thought about accountability, you said it's a word that's often misunderstood or taken in the wrong context. It's not something you do, it's something you submit yourself to. And I
Yes.
love that line. I'm like, yeah,
Mhm.
you know what? You're not just
Mhm.
doing accountability. You have to submit to that. It's surrendering
Mhm.
to the process. So talk about
Mhm.
that, being accountable.
Being accountable. So this is the word for me that I actually see daily. And
Mhm.
what I mean by that is when I'm talking to people or when people talking to me are just about different things, they always talk about, I wish, I wish if only I was a little bit more accountable. If only I was a little bit more, accountable in this step or in this step, or even accountability partner, it's something that you have to be submissive towards, because accountability is a word, it's an action word, right? It's not something that you sit and you look at and that you just imagine. No, you have to walk in it. You have to accept it. You have to be submissive towards that word and actually walk out what accountability is. And to be very honest, I cannot hold myself accountable, but someone else can.
Yes. Ooh,
So
that's good, Asia. That is good.
I can easily say, you know what? I want to get out here and I want to do this and I want to do that and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. But how good is it if I don't share that with somebody else? Right? Because we can easily say, or we can easily conquer these goals, but if you were my accountability partner, I would expect for you to hold me accountable. I would expect for you to, take on whatever I just said and be like, hey, Asia, I know you said this. Are you doing it? How are you taking those steps? And not only that, it makes you want to do it a little bit more because you care. Going back to, of course, empathetic. You care. An accountability partner cares. And with being, of course, with Talk Consulting, I care about each and every author that walks through the program, doing the calls, doing the texts, doing the quotes and things of that sort. I care. So I'm going to hold you accountable towards writing your book. I'm going to hold you accountable to whatever you told me, because that's important. And I care about where you end up.
Absolutely. Erica says Asia embodies what she preaches, and it's true. And what you said about accountability is so true. And so often, we hear people say, well, I need an accountability partner. I need somebody to hold me accountable. But what does it truly mean to hold someone accountable, right? And what does it mean for you to actually have that level of accountability? So when you think of it that way, and as you broke it down, which I love what you said, you do have to care. You do have to care about that person's well-being. You have to be able to listen to what they've said, and you have to make sure that they go back and do what they said, because that's integrity and that's character as well. Going back and doing what you said. And so even while you were an accountability partner, you were writing your own book and still helping other authors to be accountable to what they said they would do to get their book finished. And that's a high level of accountability, because not just for them, but for yourself as well.
Personal.
You still had it was personal. You still had a role that you had to play in supporting them while also doing what God called you to do, which was to get this book out. And so it's just inspiring, to see that, and to know the amount of other authors that you impacted, because you cared so much about their book project just as much as you cared about your own.
Most definitely.
And so the next word was motivational.
Yes.
And it takes work and effort to be motivational.
Come
but
on.
What you said here, you said the key word in motivational is motive. There's always a motive in being motivational. So, I've actually never heard anyone say that before. So I don't want to read everything that's in the book. I want you to talk to the people about that motive, what's behind the motivation, so that people understand that it's not just rah, 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 I'm pumping you up. There's something behind that. So tell us more about motivational as a part of being the example.
So being the example that you want to see, that motivational is one of those words that I look for when it comes down to having a motive. And what I mean, and what I wrote about motive is, if I'm going to do something, if I'm going to be somebody, then I want to know why.
Yeah.
And motive always align up with why. Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to do that? Why do you want to be this way? Or why are you this way? Why do you want? So when it comes down towards having a motive, I always think about having a why, because if your why do not make you cry, if your why is not strong enough, that why is not going to get you up out that bed that next day. When you got a phone call that disturbed you, if you don't have a motive, if you don't have your why, you're not going to want to do whatever is calling for you to do. So when I think about that, when I'm waking up on a daily basis, I have to make sure I have a motive to get me up out that bed, no matter what bad news I receive, no matter what's going on, no matter how I'm feeling. right? Because even if you're not feeling your best, and you say, for instance, a lot of women are, want to work out, but if you're not feeling your best, and you're talking about you want to be motivational, or you are motivational, that is a personal thing that you have to do. Because I can easily, and I talk about this in my book, when it comes down to being motivational, that's something that is personal that you have to do. Now, we can turn on a motivational speaker and be motivated, but it started with that person, but it ended with your action. So when it comes down to having and being motivational, you have to make sure that that motive and that why always aligned up to the purpose of whatever you're trying to fulfill.
Yeah. Look, Asia, I know you'll start preaching in a minute. Like, I see comments coming through. Tammy said your why will keep you up at night.
Come
You
on.
said if your why don't make you cry,
Come on.
it might not be big enough, right? So, ooh, that was powerful, Asia, and I thank you for breaking that down for the people, because some people truly don't understand what being motivational is all about, right? So it's really discovering your why, latching on to that thing, and making sure that it is so powerful that it drives your very being to do what you said you were going to do, and knowing what's behind that, right? And knowing what's in front of that too, because your motive, your motivation, what drives you, what propels you, also is what the people who are attracted to you will see, right? And so they then get a spark, and what you've done is now impacted them to go and now do what they said they were going to do, which also leads to P, which is purposeful, right? That everyone has a purpose, and sometimes their purpose is attached to what you have brought out through your drive and your motivation. So let's talk about purpose and what God brought into your spirit about everyone having a purpose, that purpose to fulfill within them, and how you, Asia, me, Stephanie, we're the only ones that can activate that purpose within us. Let's talk about that.
Purpose. So let's talk about the activation part, right?
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. You just may know your purpose in life. You just may write your purpose on your wall. But if that purpose does not literally be activated by you willing to walk out that journey, that word is just going to be the letters of the PURPOSC. It's not going to be activated. You have to fully activate that purpose by first accepting it, knowing it, activating it, walking in it, and consistently knowing what is required out of that purpose.
Yeah, I'm telling this young lady, you got me about to fall out of my seat, because I'm telling you, and when the activation comes, the activation comes with your purpose, there is like a fire that gets lit up under you, that there's nothing that can change that. There's no one that can change that. You begin to run into that thing like you are running out of a fire into the next fire, because your purpose is going to drive you to do whatever you have to do to live and to get that thing out there for the world to see. And so, but you also got to be level-headed.
Come on.
There has to be a balance, right? There's be a balance in how you walk this thing out. You cannot be hot and cold. You got to be balanced in that thing. So talk about being level-headed and what it means for someone who wants to be the example. How did you express level-headedness in your daily walk of being an example?
Yes. So when it comes down to level-headed, what I think about is just life, and life being a journey. So we have good days, we have challenging days, we have days that, that we really can just throw away, right? Or we like, I can do without that day. I can do without that day. But instead of doing without that day, go through that day having a level-headed, having a steady mind. I always heard this, and I seen it in the word, and I love to read it, but a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways, not some, but also when I think about having a double-minded, your mind, your thoughts going this way, your actions going that way, and basically nothing is aligning up or coming together or being fulfilled. So when it comes down to being level-headed, what makes you level-headed? And what that is knowing who you are, knowing where you want to go. When you having these challenging days, when these days to where, or even when it just comes down to a storm, you have a storm in your life and your minds and your thoughts, and life is taking you on this journey and you don't know how to have a good balance, or you're thinking this way, you're moving this way, that thing that knocked you off, and you like, okay, what do I do now? I don't know what to do. So when it comes down to having that level-headed, like I always think about, if your mind, or if you don't know how to compartmentalize, you have to figure that thing out, because when it comes down to having a level-headed, that is a balance.
Yes.
We have to have a balance of our thoughts. And when, life get tough, when things come and knock us down, what are some of those things that helping us to keep that level-headed mind? How are we thinking straight? Do we have a healthy getaway? And what I mean by that is, are we having a healthy, getaway, as in like, I'm having this rough day, I need to go work out. Or I need to call up, my therapist, or I need to get this thing out of me so I can, finally move forward and having that level-headed that I dreamed of. And that calls for alignment.
Yes. And Erica says alignment is mandatory.
Most definitely.
It is mandatory for us to be in alignment, right? And not just in our, you said it.
Come on, our head is up here.
Yes.
Right? It's the first thing that, is up at the top. It is literally the thing that's literally allowing our whole body. When your brain is not together, when you are having a headache or a migraine, your whole body is off.
Talk about it.
So if we don't have a level-headed mind, then we are discombobulated. Yes. We know how hard our headaches are. We cannot operate as hard because that mind is powerful. Our brain is powerful. And I'm just going to talk about this just a little bit, but one of my favorite authors is Dr. Shad Hempstetter, and he talks about the brain and the mind and neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is when you can literally rewire your brain. So let's talk about somebody who did not grow up the way that I did, or let's talk about someone who grew up rough, someone who grew up, they're not so proud of how they grow up. It does not mean that you have to live a whole life of not knowing what a level-headed person is or stability is, or what, it just means that you have to understand and know where you want to go and to do that work and rewire your brain, rewire what you're used to, change your environment to create that level-headed of which you're seeking after, to be that example.
Ooh, y'all, this is author Asia Smith. Here we go. Come up, come out, step up, be the example. And we're going through the acronym example and what that means. And you all see it running across the screen, how you can get to her book, AsiaRSmith.com. That's AsiaRSmith.com. If you're with us live, drop your comments and questions in the comments section, because we definitely want to be able to hear from you. And, after we get through this discussion, we'll have an opportunity for some question and answer. So get your questions ready for Asia, because we definitely want to hear from you. So let's talk about that final E in example. Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. Striving for excellence is simply looking at where you are now and reflecting on how you can do better. And I love that. I love that. So many times people think about how can I be excellent, but never think about what they've been through, right? And what they need to do to actually change the trajectory of their life so that they can live from a place of excellence. So talk about that for you and how you got to that space of being able to walk from a place of excellence.
Yes, so that is an everyday thing that we have to all walk out, right? Because just because you didn't learn something or just because you reached a certain position in life, that don't mean you just stop learning or stop living. So when it comes down to being excellent, I enjoyed writing this. And the reason why is because just recently, actually, when I was writing this, I used to always say I'm striving for perfection. And I still
Mm.
hear that. And it's okay, for someone else. But for me, perfection is a word that does not, you don't have no room for error.
Mm.
Right. So when I think about
Ooh.
excellence, when I think about striving for excellence, I think about I have room for error. I have
Yes.
room for mistakes. Even if I don't do this thing that I said I was going to do, or cross out everything that I had on the list, or even if, I'm not feeling my best, but I still get something done, or
Mm.
even if, something happened that you had no control over. Excellence is a word that comes in so many shapes and forms and things. And when it comes down to being excellence, I always think about, where you are now and doing the work that requires for you to be better. And that's a personal walk. And sometimes it
Mm.
does take self-reflection, right? Because
Yes.
how can we know where we are now or where we're trying to get if we don't, do these self-reflections of where we are now? What can we do
Yes.
better? And not only that, but okay, where do I see myself 6, 9, 12 months down the line? How can I get
Mm.
there based off my last 6, 7, 12 months? How can I be that better person? How can I strive
Mm.
for that excellent image that I see myself being towards? And, I've always think of, these, when I think of just, the excellent word, I think of, small goals.
Mm-hmm.
Small goals. And what I mean by that is I was just talking about, something with somebody and she was just saying, okay, what about the things that you just did? What about the
Mm-hmm.
things that you just may think that is small, but don't think that that's not something that required excellence because you
Yeah.
put forth your thought, that mind, that action to do it. So don't discredit the small things. Always think about excellence as a form of everything and anything that you want to do. And excellence can
Mm.
range from everything. It doesn't have to be, oh, I just graduated and got my degree. No,
Yeah.
it can be that I simply woke up this morning, just got out of
Mm.
my bed because I did not feel like doing it. So
And
that does the excellent behavior.
yes, it does. And when you think about that too, with
Mhm.
excellence, everyone has to define what excellence means for themselves,
Mhm.
right? Because what excellence means for Asia, what excellence means for Stephanie may be completely different for you.
Most
And
definitely.
so, how Asia walks out excellence is Asia's walk. So, don't feel
Mhm.
like, oh gosh, I'm not walking it out like Asia's walking it out. So, I must
Mhm.
not be
That
excellent.
comparison,
Absolutely not.
it
God
can.
has a path of excellence for each of us. We have to understand what that looks like. So we have to seek him and understand and and
Mhm.
and even outline it.
Come
In that
on.
time of self-reflection, when you're going back and looking at the places where you feel like, oh, I could have done things a little bit differently here. I could have done this a little bit better. Then what does better look like,
Come
right?
on.
Does it mean that, hey, if I had done this like 10% better, that means maybe I would have been excellent? Whatever it means for you,
Mhm.
outline that for yourself, but don't allow yourself to feel like because you're not doing it like someone else that you are not walking out excellence, because you are walking out the excellence that God has called you to walk out.
Give yourself that credit too.
Yes.
Give yourself that
Pat
credit.
yourself on the back.
Come
Give
on.
yourself credit.
Come on.
We need to do that, right? Because
Yes.
we are examples. We are
Mhm.
examples for someone in our path,
Mhm.
right? We're
Mhm.
living out a life that they want to be able to, in some way, emulate or be able to have something similar. So give yourself credit. You're doing a great job. Tammy says, give yourself grace. Absolutely. Grace. Give yourself
Yes.
grace. So there's another chapter in here I wanted to touch on.
Okay.
Why not me? And Lord, why not me? When I saw this chapter, it took me back like 20 something years. And I
Mhm.
literally saw myself. I was sitting in the church pew
Mhm.
and the associate pastor was talking and he was doing a message. And it was like I think it was a singles group or something we were
Mhm.
in. And someone said, someone was going through something at the time and
Mhm.
they were like, like, why me, Lord? Why am I going through all of this? Why
Mhm.
why do I have to go through all of this
Oh
just to get
yeah.
to this, right? And he said, well, why not you? And he was so matter of fact about it. And we all looked at him like, what?
Yeah.
Why not? Why not? Why not her? Well,
Exactly. Right.
no, we trying to figure out why her. And you saying, why
Mhm.
not her? And you sum it up so nicely here. It's because God has something for each of us, right? And
Mhm.
if, as we're going through the struggles and the turmoil and all of that, and we keep saying,
Mhm.
why me? You were chosen for that,
Come
right?
on.
So why not you? Is there anyone better to walk this thing out? Is there anyone better that can rise up from this thing in the way that you will when you come out of it? Why not you? And that thing really sat with me because if it's been over 20 something years, he said that. And when I saw it in your book,
Mhm.
it sparked that again.
Yeah.
And I realized that every single thing that I have been through,
Mhm.
no one but me could have walked it out
Come
and
on.
walked it out with grace and walked it out with excellence and been able to rise from the things that I've been through. So
Mhm.
why not you?
Come
Right?
on.
Why not you? So talk about that chapter, Asia, and just let us know what made you think of that as you were writing this book about being the example.
So that was personal, and it's still
Hmm.
personal.
Yeah.
And the reason why it's so personal, because every time I hear somebody say that, it's like it just always strikes something within me, right? Because as long as we have this life, we're going to go through these journeys, we're going to go through these storms, we're going to go through
Mhm.
things that be like that we question. Why
Yeah.
me? Why me? Why me? Why did I have to go through that to learn that? Why did
Mhm.
I have to be in this so long? Why did I have to
Mhm.
tussle with this journey? And when it comes down to why not me, I think about rising to the cause.
Mhm.
And what I mean
Mhm.
about rising to the cause is rising up to that storm, speaking to that storm, speaking
Mhm.
to whatever you went through. And instead of saying, why me? Why not me? And since
Mhm.
you chose me to go through this thing, I'm still going to trust you, Lord, through this very thing
Ooh.
that's causing for me to just be weary.
Yes.
I'm going to trust you no matter what happens throughout this storm. So why not me? I used
Ooh.
to always say, why me? Why did I have to struggle through this? Why did I have to go through this?
Jesus.
When I think about school, when I think about life, and when I think about the stuff that I went through, and the stuff that I'm still going through, I think
Yes.
about why did I have to go through that?
Mm.
Why you didn't chose my neighbor down the street, or why you didn't I chose that girl because she thinks she looked like she got a little bit more strength than I got right now. So why you could not give that thing to her to deal with? So we
You trying to pass off your stuff to somebody
come
else.
on, because that's how, sometimes we think like, why did you
Yes.
give me this thing to go through? And so
Ooh.
when I think about why me, I had to change my focus and my heart posture.
Ooh.
Why not me? I was chosen for this thing. I was chosen to walk this out. God
Ooh.
allowed this to happen. So if I change my heart posture, just maybe can I change the result that I'm expecting?
Lord, look, if I had on shoes, I'd kick them off right now because
Yes.
that I
Mhm.
see I see the raised hand emojis going up in the chat. Because Asia, you said that thing, right? You
Mhm.
said that thing. It is a matter of changing our heart posture around
Mhm.
that thing. When we are able to go from why me to why not me, that
Mhm.
is when you have learned the lesson
Come
and
on.
you can be the example that others need to see. You
Mhm.
can be that change that other
Come
people
on.
need to see in the world when you recognize that there is something that only you have the power and the authority to walk out in this earth. There's those raised hands, Monica. Oh my God, I love it. I love it. So we have a few minutes left, but I just want to go through a couple more of these chapters, and I want to
Mhm.
give the audience an opportunity to ask any questions, make any more comments. Again, I'm with Asia Smith, published author Asia Smith, and her website is asiarsmith.com.
Mhm.
She's the author of Come Up, Come Out, Step Up, Be the Example. And we're talking so much about her amazing book, this young, beautiful millennial who is living out being an example. for others to see, for others to watch, and for others to follow. She is a leader. And when you have a leader that's demonstrating character and integrity, those are the people that you want to latch on to and learn from. And Asia is that person. So millennials, if you're out there, I'm letting you know, follow Asia Smith. Instagram, she is what? The official
Asia
Asia Smith.
Smith. Mm-hmm.
On Facebook, she's Asia Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Follow her and see what she, because God has something so big that's getting ready to be released through this young lady. And I don't even know what it is, but whatever it is, y'all need to be ready, right? You need to be watching, because the way that God is using Asia in just a short time that I've seen her and witnessed who she is and how she walks out her life, and just the joy that resonates from her spirit. I know that God is going to be putting her on some platforms that are huge.
I receive it.
Huge. And so she is an example that we need to be following. And as I'm going to call myself an elder, because I'm older than you.
Yes, you are. Come on.
I'm your elder.
Yes, you
I
are.
want to be able to support you in that journey and be able to be there as someone that you can come to, right? If you need someone to just talk to and talk something out and be able to, just bounce ideas off of. That's what we need to be for our millennials, because we as elder leaders, we need to be able to support them, to be able to see their dreams come to pass. And so I'm offering that to you, Asia. And I know there's plenty others out here that are going to be that for you as well. So as we prepare, a few more minutes, we're going to go through the richest place. The richest place. And I've heard this from Les Brown. He was one of the first people that I've heard this from, about the richest place. So you tell us what the richest place in the world is. The richest place.
Yes. So that thing stuck with me when I first heard that, when I moved to Georgia in 2017. I started to work for a company, and I was like, all right, God, now you told me to move here. I didn't move to Georgia, just because I just wanted to do it. You told me to move here, and I'm thinking I'm about to go down this one particular road, and God literally allowed for me to go down this one road, and that was working for this specific company. And with this company, I never understood why I was there, but I was up for the challenge. And so many things that contributed to who I am today came from the lessons that I learned there. And one of the things that we talked about, and one of the things that we used to huddle before we used to work, is they used to always give us like some jewels that we can go along with our day with, right? And one of those things was, they talked about the richest place. And when I first heard it, I did not understand it. But when I started to think on some things, and when I gave it some more thought, the richest place on earth is the graveyard. And when I heard the richest place on earth is the graveyard, and when I thought about it and I gave it some thought, it literally, stuck within me. Clearly, I wrote a chapter about it, and it's specifically speaking towards, when it comes down to living this life, when it comes down to our journey, our goals, our aspirations, the things that we want to do, what we want to fulfill in life, even our purpose and things, down that sort. A lot of people die with things that they have yet to accomplish, things that they dreamed about, things that they wanted to come to pass, but they never lived it. So they died with those very most things that they did not fulfill on earth. So when I think about the richest place on earth is the graveyard. It's not Dubai. It's not America. It's not even Africa. It's not something that you can just go to. It's something that we see on a daily basis. If we just go down the street, or, go towards a few miles, it's the graveyard. It's because a lot of people die with so many rich things. And if you were to go and pull up all of those things that you can't see, that people wish they did while they had the breath, you will begin to see the richest place on earth is the graveyard. And that's why I choose to go after everything I have in life.
Oh,
everything. And I want to continue to put that out there. Go after everything that you see and that you desire in life, because it is possible. It
hmm.
is. If it came to your mind, and if you thought it, that thing is possible.
Mm. As you were speaking and you talked about, the people going to their graves with all their dreams and their ideas and their hopes and their
Mhm.
aspiration, I got a vision of a body being exhumed.
Come on.
A dead body being exhumed. And when that body is exhumed, the things that you can find come out of that body, all of their hopes, all of their dreams, all of the nuggets, the nuggets of wisdom, the jewels
Mhm.
that got
Mhm.
buried with them, that's all underneath the surface. If we were able to latch onto those people that have been placed into our lives now and begin to get those nuggets from them, be able to hear from them what their hopes and their dreams
Mm.
are. Because if they were to take their last breath today and they shared that with us, that we could carry that on for
Come
them,
on.
we can be able to take that and make it a legacy for them. Right.
Mhm.
So it's so important to be able to get with those people that have wisdom, that have
Mhm.
knowledge, that have understanding. Right.
Mhm.
Because the Bible tells us that get wisdom, get knowledge, get
Knowledge
understanding.
and
We're to
understanding.
have those things.
Mhm.
And if we are struggling with the things that God has placed in us and we don't even know, go talk to someone
Come
that's
on.
lived some things out. Go talk to them and ask questions, right? Because
Mm.
they don't want you to die with all of that locked up in you, just like they
Mm-mm.
shouldn't have to die with it locked up in them. So that's where you have to have this equal exchange of ideas and
Come
talking and
on.
collaborating with people so that your dreams don't die. They can help activate your dreams
Come
and
on.
you help activate their dreams so that no one has to go to their grave with all their hopes and dreams buried
Yes.
underneath with
And
them.
that is so good. And I would also like to say, take full advantage of the lives that we already have here.
Yeah.
Because I begin to think about our grandparents, our family, and I begin to think of the people that surround us. If we're not taking advantage of what they already lived through,
Yes.
what they already gone through, their nuggets, their whatever that they have to give us, are we
Yes.
really truly living?
Mm. Ooh.
Because how can we have wisdom if we don't search after it, or even if we don't ask for it? How can we get something if we don't ask or even know what lies within that? Know the power that
Mm.
lies within yourself to go ask that person, or even go talk to that person. Get wisdom, get knowledge, and get understanding, because that is
Yes.
so rich, and that's something that you just can't see.
Yeah.
That's something that you live. That's something that
Yes.
you feel within others.
Ooh. I love it. I love it. I love it, Asia. You wrap up this book with the final chapter, which I think is the final chapter. If it's not, it's not actually the final chapter, but it's God's perfect timing.
Oh yes.
That's the chapter we'll close with, God's perfect timing. And
Mhm.
you said we may have heard the saying, God is never late. God has always and will forever show up on time. God's timing is always perfect because he doesn't operate in time, but we are time limited people. So
Yes.
as we prepare to close out, I want you to talk about God's perfect timing, how that showed up in your life. And I look, this line stuck with me so much that I highlighted it, underlined it, and put a star. I don't know if y'all can even see that because it's bright, but and put a star next to it. It says, I tried to make sense out of the season I was in, but true enough, God was only adding seasoning to my life.
Mhm.
Yeah, that resonated with me because I said, how many times we think about the seasons in our
Mhm.
lives, and there's this book that I read years ago that I always love to this day. It was called Don't Die in the Winter,
Come
right?
on.
Winter is a season that you go through, and in that winter season, God is seasoning your life,
Mhm.
preparing you. Seasoning prepares
Mhm.
the food, right? To bring
Come
flavor. And
on.
that's what God does in seasons of our lives. He seasons us to prepare us and to bring the
Mhm.
goodness, the juices, the flavors out that he desires for us in that season. So I want you to talk to us about God's perfect timing and how that showed
Mhm.
up for you, and how even now with all that he has you getting ready to walk out, how you realize that had he done this anytime sooner in Asia's timing and not his, how that may have utterly destroyed what it is that is getting ready to happen in your life.
Yes. So when I think about God's perfect timing, I think about my timing and I think about how God does not operate out of time. So what that meaning and what that means for me is, if I understand and know what this thing that I'm struggling with, or if I understand and know that God does not operate out of time, but we are timeless people, then maybe that would shift my focus to really go through that thing and go through it with flying colors. So I won't have to go through that thing again. Because sometimes if we do not pass a test, we're going to go through that thing again and again until we pass it, just like in school. So when it comes down to these seasons in our life, God is only adding seasoning. I read about, in the Bible that we are the salt of the earth.
Yes.
And when we cooking our meats and when we cooking it, when it's going through all of these changes, right? Sometimes it turns out to be what we wanted, sometimes it don't. But if we add a little bit of that salt, a little bit of that seasoning salt, then that thing turned into something good. Now it took a process to get to that. It took a process to get to that thing that was well done, or that thing that's completed, or that cooked meal, or whatever it was. It took time to get to that. But if we understand and know that everything happens for a reason, and God's perfect timing is perfect, then we will begin to know that everything that we do is in alignment to his will, as long as we stand committed, and as long as we knowing where we are and how we're going to walk this thing out. It may take time. It's going to take time, but his timing is perfect. And we always think about, when is this going to happen? When is that going to happen? I even struggle with a few things recently. I'm like, all right, God, this is dear to me. This thing is something that I talked about, something I've been praying for, something that I wanted so bad. And not just something, some things. These things are written on my words of affirmation. When I pray, when I have these times that I spend with you, that I want these things to come to pass. When is it going to happen? I don't know when. I don't see when, but I know it's going to happen. But I understand and know it's going to be a process. Now, my timing, I know it's different from your timing, but I have to understand and know that when that thing happens, it's going to be out of perfect timing. It's going to happen. I'm going to call it those things that be not as though they were. And I'm going to get everything I need out of this season of my life, because I ain't trying to go through this no more. So I'm going to understand that God's timing is perfect timing.
Yes. Oh, I'm telling y'all, this young lady right here, Tammy said, you better say that, Asia. You better say that. Okay. Come on, Asia. Come on. You said that. So in being the example, we got to know that we're going through a process to be the example, and that process is in God's timing, and God's timing is always perfect. It is always on time. And so, Asia, you were on time tonight. Yes, ma'am. Erica said, yes, ma'am. You were. And Sassy says, yes, you are on time. Young lady, I am so proud of you. I applaud you for the great work that you are open to allowing the Lord to do through you, how he is working through you, in you, and operating in you, and that you're activating that. I don't see a lot of young people like you doing that. And it's unfortunate, because your generation is ruling the world, right? And so we have to get our millennials to the place of understanding who they are, understanding their identity and the destiny that's tied to that identity, so that they can be the examples that others need to see, so that they can truly reflect change in this world, the change we need to see. And so I thank you, Asia, for being that example for not just your generation, but for other generations as well. You are powerful. You are impactful. You are a mighty, mighty woman of God. And I'm so pleased to have had you join us tonight. So everyone, reminder, author Asia Smith, go to her website, AsiaRSmith.com to get her book, Come Up, Come Out, Step Up, Be the Example. Be the Example.
Yes.
Asia, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Everyone, I am so blessed to have had you all join us tonight. Thank you for being a part of Storytime with Stephanie. This is our second season, and it's just been flourishing. I'm excited for what God is doing for the authors that have been on this show. More to come. This is truly a platform where I want to see authors, especially those anointed authors, those who have been called by God to write the books that the world needs to read, needs to hear, share those stories. I want this to be a platform where they can have that exposure so that others will be able to go out and run with the visions that they've set forth in these books. So I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. Sassy says, so proud of you. Very inspirational, Asia. Oh, so many people are so proud of you. We love you, Asia, and nothing but the best to come for you. So we thank you all for joining. Thank you for your comments. We look forward to the next couple of weeks when we have our next guest on. So thank you so much, everyone. Be blessed. Have a wonderful night. And thank you again. Bye-bye.
Bye.